Just let me know when we're good to go.
Okay.
We're all good to start.
Yes,
Yep.
we're all good when you're ready, Jerry.
All righty. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get an in-person quorum this month, so no sense dragging the staff out to Mineola to a temporary conference room anyway. So I'm just going to do a quick chair's report. We'll hold off on any questions that you would have for me because Nick Fasano is covering for Anna this month, and he has to be out by 5 o'clock. So I'll do the quick chairs report. We'll go to Nick, and then any questions for Nick, and then after that, we'll go back to me for any questions, and then we'll go on to the staff report. Okay, so this past month, MTA C&D completed the renovation of the Mastic Shirley station on the Montauk branch with new amenities and held a ribbon cutting with local officials. Last Friday, they also held a groundbreaking ceremony for the relocation of the Yaphank station, which will be constructed approximately 3 miles further east, just off the William Floyd Parkway, which is a major north-south thoroughfare out in Suffolk. The new station is scheduled to be completed in mid-2026, at which time the current station will be closed. The new station will probably be renamed. It is not located in Yaphank. One possible name is Camp Upton/BNL. Due to its proximity to the former Camp Upton and the Brookhaven National Laboratory. February total ridership is up 6.3% compared to February of 2024 and 8.8% year to date versus 2024. It also represents 84.9% of February 2019 ridership. So we're getting close to pre-COVID ridership, but we're still not there yet. On-time performance was 96.4%, and that's the Long Island Railroad's best February ever. Due to concerns that the Long Island Railroad Commuter Council has raised regarding missed connections at Jamaica, the Long Island Railroad is monitoring arrival times at that station. 56.7% of the trains arrived less than 3 minutes behind schedule during AM peak, and 3/4 of the trains, 74.9%, met that standard during the more critical PM peak in February. And it's more critical for us, obviously, in the PM peak because you have people going out east. And if you miss a connection, you could wait a half an hour for the next one. The Long Island Railroad continues to work on system improvements, including the replacing and upgrading of the Jamaica electrical substation, which was originally constructed in 1971. Additional train service resulting from the opening of Grand Central Madison has amplified the strain on the substation, and this is a perfect example of critical state of good repair work. And last but not least, my name, Gerard Bringman, has been submitted to the New York State Senate for approval to continue to serve as the Long Island Railroad Commuter Council's non-voting representative on the MTA board. And that being said, we'll turn it over to Nick Fasano to give us the updates from the Long Island Railroad.
Thank you, Jerry. Hi, everyone. How you doing? My name is Nick Fasano. I oversee our government and community relations here. So for this month, unfortunately, Jerry, you stole some of my thunder for some of the things that I wanted to talk about. But yes, we had a opening for the station at Yaphank, and we also had we had a groundbreaking for our relocation at Yaphank, and then we also had a opening for the renovations that we did at Mastic Shirley. So I'll start with Mastic Shirley. That was probably about 3 weeks ago. The main highlights of that project were we demolished the existing station building that had been closed because of lead and asbestos, as well as conditions about its structural integrity. So we demolished that. We abated it. We moved all of the equipment to a different part of our property that was located inside. It was mostly communications equipment. In its place, we put a new plaza shelter down, a new plaza with a bunch of different amenities there. And then we did a bunch of platform work as well. So, whole new platform slab, new tactile strips, new warning signs, new railings, new lighting. a new shelter shed up there, a new chain link fence underneath the platform. So pretty much all of our station assets at that station got renovated, which is really great. For Yaphank, we're moving the station about 3 miles east of its current location. As some of you may know, it's our lowest ridership station. On average, it gets about 7 riders a day. So we are going to be moving it so that it is in a better location for business / residential opportunities. If you're familiar at all with where the current station is located, it's by a bunch of Suffolk County offices, including a courthouse, a jail, a couple of other things. It's not a good location for a station. So Jerry already told you the timeline for that, so I won't belabor that point. When the station opens, we will demolish the existing station and close that. So that will be the sequencing of that. We are making a lot of progress with our ADA projects. So currently we've been done with the projects at Amityville, Copeg, Lindenhurst, and Massapequa Park. There's been some punch list items at a couple of them, but the elevators at those stations are all operational. The stations where we're currently working are Auburndale, Locust Manor, Laurelton, and St. Albans. So those 4. Oh, and Valley Stream, I'm sorry. So those 5. So the first one of those, which will have its elevator open, will likely be St. Albans at some point in the early summer. The other ones, just because of the work phasing, will all follow pretty closely behind because the contractor has to be done. Everything has to be achieve what's called beneficial completion, which essentially means that the elevators need to be open by the 4th quarter of this year. So they have no longer than 8 months, by contract to get us those work products. The work at Valley Stream is a bit larger. We did waterproofing of the platform canopy there. We did a lot of steel and concrete repairs of the viaduct and the station platforms itself. We did a lot of bridge and abutment painting, so scraping off the existing painting and then repainting it with non-lead based paint. We're replacing the escalator that's there. We're renovating the existing elevator. And we are going to be working on the plaza level, including there's a taxi stand there, which there's 2 taxi stands actually. One is closed and one is open. And we're going to be working on both of those. They're both Village of Valley Stream property, but we're going to be doing some work on them to kind of beautify and uplift the space around the station. And then with our larger ADA projects, which are at Babylon, Hollis, and Forest Hills, Babylon has been underway for some time now. And as you all may have known, Forest Hills and Hollis were both on pause due to congestion pricing itself being paused. So when the pause was lifted, those projects then proceeded. We are farther along at Hollis than we are at Forest Hills. There are some more complexities about the job at Forest Hills that require some additional care when moving the project forward. But we've been in what we would consider heavy construction at Hollis for about 3 weeks now. So that's been going very well. And Babylon, in the next month, roughly, we are going to actually stop working because we will have completed all of our work on the west end. And those new platforms will reopen. So there'll be half the station will be new, half the station will be old. We'll stop working during the summer so that, as many of you know, Babylon is a very popular transfer hub for all the different summer destinations on the East End. So we'll stop to accommodate that. And then come September, we'll restart and we'll finish the job on the East End. So roughly it would we'll reopen fully reopen the station as brand new in May 2026, give or take. Other than that, I think the only thing that I wanted to mention was we've been doing a lot of track work on the West Hempstead branch. we have been replacing and rehabilitating the existing the grade crossings at Hempstead Avenue and Ocean Avenue in Malvern, and then in Lakeview at Woodfield Road. So we remove the grade. There's concrete grade crossings, which you may have seen. There are those pads which surround the actual tracks that run through the road. So we remove those. You put a new one in, and then you repave it when you're done. And then coming later this month, we're going to be installing concrete ties. So what that means is currently on the branch and on many branches, it's not everywhere, but many branches have old wooden ties. So obviously concrete is more durable than wood. It lasts longer, performs better, it requires less maintenance. And as part of it, we will also be replacing all of the rail. So it'll pretty much be all new rail infrastructure on the branch. And that's a good thing because it reduces our maintenance burden. And this kind of work, you measure rail lifespan in gross tonnage. You don't measure it in years, just because it's steel and concrete. So it could last several decades. So that again, it significantly reduces our maintenance burden. There's much less chance of a rail breaking, pieces of tie that need to be replaced. So there's no unplanned outages like that. And it just ensures that we have a reliable system. So I just from like a work perspective, I think that's all the things I wanted to talk about. I'm sure, as you all know, as a whole, the MTA's capital program is subject to state budget negotiations and has been. So they've missed their deadline, which happens. But we are hoping that they will, deliver the capital program that we had sent to them in December, because the program wasn't denied due to its merits. It was denied just over the question of how to fund it. So undoubtedly, if a smaller program comes back, that means less critical work can be done. So, we're very hopeful here that it'll come back at the full size. And, if not, we'll have to, make some difficult choices. But, obviously that hasn't happened yet. So other than that, I didn't really have too much that I wanted to bring up. It is this April and March is really when we start most of our track work again after kind of laying off in the winter. So, there are going to be programs happening all over the system just to make sure everything is in a state of good repair. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, Brian, Brian, can you monitor that for me? Because I can't see, everybody's hands and whatever.
I think Maddie has a question.
Yeah, Maddie.
Okie dokie. Thank you, Brian and Jerry. First of all, hi Nick, how are you today?
Good. I'm good. How are you?
Pleasure. It's good to see, that the Babylon line that should be done hopefully by Memorial Day, and then you're going to take a brief 3-month hiatus until around Labor Day.
I think it goes. I think we'd start a little later than that, but yeah, roughly speaking, some point in September.
Oh, terrific, and it's good to see ridership up, and with the Yaphank station moving it to the better place in the town of Brookhaven, we hope to get more rides because, as you know, Ronkonkoma is the line that goes all the way up to what is it called? I'm trying to think.
Greenport.
Thank you, Jerry, from Penn Station to Greenpoint. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll ask a few more questions later. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Maddie. Anybody else have any questions?
I don't see any.
All righty then. I think we're good, Nick. I appreciate it, and we got you
Okay.
out of there right so you can make your
Yeah.
5 o'clock meeting.
I'll hang on for a bit, just in case anyone has any tidbits for me that they may have just remembered.
Okay, Bucky, did you say you might have another question?
It's more
Or
of
you good?
It's more about more of a congratulations to you, Jerry, by Ed Romaine suggesting to Governor Hochul that you continue your on the commuter council. I applaud you for that.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. All righty. Well, Nick might hang out for a few more minutes, but to keep things rolling, Brian, why don't you take it away with the Associate Director / staff report?
Sure, thanks so much. Yeah, I'll keep it pretty brief. We've did not release any reports since we last met, but we've been very active in budget discussions, primarily at the state level, but also with the city. You know, our primary focus has been ensuring that the 25 to 29 capital plan is fully funded. We've taken part and helped organize a number of rallies, op-eds, and legislative actions with legislators to ensure that, you know, folks are aware of what's in the plan, you know, that it's largely a state of good repair plan with a huge investment in rolling stock and a number of other key items for the railroads and transit, and that there's just a wide variety of funding sources that are available for to be used if the legislature and governor have the will to use them. Sounds like that they're nearing a agreement from what I've read, which is great news. But it sounds like there's still a few items left to be determined. So we're keeping our fingers crossed until we see the final product. We've also been, you know, doing a lot of work on congestion pricing. The governor had a rally in the city a few weeks ago that we participated in, as well as continuing to meet with the coalition and support coalition actions over the past couple months. I think, you know, there's been a lot of back and forth between USDOT and the MTA on congestion pricing. But the long and short of it is that the program is working, and it looks like it will be able to stay in operation for the foreseeable future based on the court filings, although DOT immediately tried to walk back the assertions that their attorneys were making after they made it just a couple days ago. So, you know, a lot to be determined. They still are trying to enforce this April 20th arbitrary deadline that they have that is not backed up by anything in the courts. And then the last but certainly not least, we've been continuing to push our suite of fare incentives that we'd like to see Albany pass, and think that there's a good chance that they will end up in the budget. The Senate, as was the case last year, included the vast majority of them in their one house budget that came out last month. And we've continued to meet with legislators to not only push for those items in the budget, but also standalone bills that we've put together this year. We actually just released this earlier today. I just popped in the chat our legislative agenda that Jack put together. You know, includes the bill numbers for the various pieces of legislation. A few of them are directly related to the railroads. You know, the closing the AM peak loophole, creating a weekly city ticket with transfers on LIR and Metro North, and our Family Fare Act, which would create a reduced fare for young adults 12 to 17. So we're really, we've gotten really great feedback from legislators. Jack, you could feel free to jump in on this, but you know, feel good about either getting it into the budget or moving them as standalone bills at some point this legislative session in Albany. So I think those are the highlights. Jack, do you want to do the social media report?
Yeah, for sure. And I would also just quickly plug that on our legislative agenda, we also have the bill to lower the number of names you need for each vacancy on the LIRRCC from 3 to 1 to conform it with the other councils. So we're continuing to push for that to hopefully, you know, fill some of our open slots and resolve our quorum issues. But with that, I'll get into the social media update. So there have been reports of crowding on the 4:51, 5:23, 5:40, and 6:29 p.m.'s trains to Wantagh, as well as the 7:28 a.m. train from Ronkonkoma to Penn. The railroad has said that this is because the trains are running with fewer cars, which, you know, is kind of underscores the importance of the next capital plan. a rider had noted that the heat on train 335 from Ronkonkoma was an inferno and that one of the vents was hot to the touch. The railroad replied asking what car it was. So hopefully they got that resolved. Sorry, Jerry, did you have a question? I saw you went off mute.
No, I just, no, it's not a surprise. I just want to comment that basically because ever since they've expanded the service to Grand Central a couple of years ago, basically everything's running. So there's really nothing in reserve. So if things start breaking down, they just have to take them out of service, and they don't really have cars to replace them with. And we are running, about 100 of those old M3s, which are pretty much past their useful life. So it's just unfortunate, but it's to be expected. So hopefully everything goes through with this capital plan, and we can get those M9As ordered. But they're still going to be a couple of years out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so a few other things. One rider, I thought this was kind of funny, inquired about whether or not there will be more direct trains to Grand Central Madison in the future, which, how far we have come since the opening of Grand Central Madison, when there was a lot of feedback the opposite direction. And the railroad replied that this may happen after the current schedule expires on May 18th. So we shall see. Several riders said that there was inadequate information provided by the railroad on platforms and on the train time map after a car accident damaged the third rail on the Ronkonkoma branch and delayed trains. Lastly, there was a rider who was confused as to why they couldn't purchase a Far Rockaway ticket from Far Rockaway to Metz Willets Point. The railroad replied that they would need to purchase a Far Rockaway ticket as well as a city ticket. So that would bring the total to about $8 to $10, kind of underscoring the expense oftentimes of taking the railroad within the city. And that's all for the social media update.
Jack, could you repeat that? They have to take a Far Rockaway ticket, and the Far Rockaway ticket is good. One direction of travel from Far Rockaway into the city. Are they?
Yeah, so because there's a transfer at Woodside and they went back, the railroad.
Yeah, they would. Yeah.
That they'd have to, even though it's just one stop, then you have to buy a city ticket.
Unfortunately, if you change directions, you have to you have to get a subsequent ticket. But okay, yeah.
It's kind of strange though, because it is. I mean, it's pretty minuscule distance.
Yeah, I mean, I hear you.
Direct way to get.
Yeah, it's counted as a separate trip, just again because you're changing. Our system runs is directional based, essentially, either going west or east. So once you change directions, you consider it a new trip. But yeah, I hear you. It's a little wonky.
Yeah. Maddie, I see you have a question or a comment.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. That was a great report from you and Brian. I did look from the riders from the LIRRCC. One thing that I definitely support is the Riders Representation Act. I thank Senator Gennardis and Assemblyman Dinowitz for their work, because listen, we're the commuter councils and this PCAC, we're consist of everyday people. We're not rich, we're not powerful, we're not lawyers, we're everyone, and trust me, I would like to see this pass before such, because I could tell you that there's probably a lot of lobbies spending a lot of money to get this act defeated.
Well, the main reason we're pushing that, Maddie, is, I hate to say it, but the vote itself really doesn't mean all that much, because I've been on the MTA board about 3 years now, and I've never seen a contentious vote, where something was like 7-6 or 8-5 or anything like that.
Oh, absolutely.
But what comes with the vote is what's critical. What comes with the vote is that the riders reps for PCAC, we would be able to chair a committee.
Okay.
We can't do now. And we have we got Andrew Albert, who's been on the Transit Riders Council for like 25 years.
And he's currently only the current board member that was nominated, that's still on by George Pataki.
Right. So, I mean, well, actually, I was put on by, well, no, I wasn't put on the board by
Oh, well,
Pataki. I
you
was
were
put
well, in
on the
2001, you
council
were
by
recommended by
Pataki. Yeah.
Robert Gaffney, and then he submitted that to George Pataki, and he nominated you.
Yeah. So
So
he's, but like, what the point is, Andrew, with 25 years of experience,
yes,
can't chair a committee, and yet someone who might have just been named last year can chair a committee.
yes, I
And the
know.
most
Like,
critical thing is we don't count towards the quorum.
okay,
And it's been a lot of the committees you'll see on Mondays. Um, they'll have a committee and there'll be three of us non-voting members sitting there, and there'll only be two or three voting members sitting there, and they just don't have enough voting members for a quorum.
oh,
Yet if the
absolutely,
voting members counted, you would have a quorum and they could conduct official business.
because
So, and we can't make a motion technically, and we can't second a motion.
oh, absolutely,
So, so the whole idea is just to make the board, or in particular the board committee meetings, be more efficient and run smoothly. I mean, the vote, yeah, the vote's nice, and I appreciate the vote, but
yeah.
it comes with the vote. That's what's really critical, and
Oh,
that's why we're pushing so hard for this.
I know, and hopefully it will get through the finish line because, listen, I think Mark Herbst and Blanca Lopez are great chairs, even though Herbst is a former Republican Assembly member and was on by a Republican county executive. He's doing a good job, and I think also Blanca Lopez, even though she just got reconfirmed yesterday by mostly a party line vote, along with Christopher Leathers and Edward Valente.
Hey, Jerry, it's Larry. I'm going to have to pop off there because I got to pay more attention. So I'm sorry, guys.
Go get them, Larry.
All right, we'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
We're just about wrapped anyway.
oh, okay. Okay, can I should I start from again, or did you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, we heard you. We're good.
All right, perfect, because I know, yeah. So hopefully we'll get this through the finish line, and hopefully you folks, you, Randy, and Andrew will be voting members, so that way it's just not, just not, like I could tell you, like, not just like typical like rich or politicians, even though that's how we work. So I really, if I was an assemblyman, whether Democrat or Republican, I would 100% support the Riders Representation Act. And I congratulate Blanca Lopez, Edward Valente, and Christopher Leathers for their confirmation, although it was mostly a party line vote. So thank you.
Thanks, Maddie.
Thank you, sir.
I would just note one other piece of concern that we've gotten directly in the mailbox recently is, and it doesn't sound like it's a new one, just some concerns about overcrowding on the Long Beach branch in the late afternoon, especially in the 4 o'clock hour. It seems like there's the 412 and the 451 that come out of Jamaica. Both tend to be very crowded, and there was some curiosity if there was some ability to add another train or two in between those two departures.
The railroad assured me that they are monitoring, all of the branches and all of the ridership numbers, and they're willing to play railroad Jenga if necessary. But again, to add two cars to a train, you have to pull two cars off another train because there are really no reserves. So, but they did promise me that they would keep an eye on that, and they're doing the best they can with what we have. So we just have to hold out till we can get those M9As ordered, and we just have to hope that we don't get congestion pricing stopped. Fingers crossed. Do we have anything else? Do we have any old business? Do we have any new business?
Maddie?
In relation to new business, I do want to wish everybody also a happy Passover and Easter, but also for the month of April for Autism Acceptance Month. Please note that your support in the community and for the millions around the world who are dealing with autism. I would like to personally thank you and the millions around the world for giving us a chance where we are accepted and understood for who we are. Thank you, and I hope to see you all next month. God bless you, everyone.
Thank you, Maddie. Alrighty, again, I can't see the screens, but if there's
That's it.
nobody else with their hand up, I'll call us adjourned at 5:02 PM.
Great.
Take it
Thanks,
easy,
Jerry.
everyone.
Thanks,
All right, you
Jerry.
too, Nick.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, all. Thanks, Brian.
Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye bye now.